Minor spoilers ahead.
Wait, stop. Don't you lay a hand on her.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would do a quick little review of the new horror film Wolfman, which was directed by Leigh Whannell and stars Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner, and Matilda Firth. In this film, a family at a remote farmhouse is attacked by an unseen animal, but as the night stretches on, the father begins to transform into something unrecognizable. So as a lot of you might know, Leigh Whannell is a pretty big name in the horror community. I mean, the dude wrote and starred in the original Saw, he wrote Insidious, he directed The Invisible Man, and he directed Insidious Chapter 3, so if you're a fan of horror, you're probably familiar with this guy's work. That being said though, this film has received fairly mixed reviews since it came out, so what exactly did I think of it? Well, starting off with the positives, I think that the acting in this film is very solid. Christopher Abbott does a great job at playing our main character Blake, a man who you can tell has got a good heart, cares for his family a lot, and as the movie goes on, you just start to feel so bad for him as this terrifying transformation starts to happen to him. Julia Garner I thought was great, her performance felt very believable, and Matilda Firth I thought was excellent as well. Being a child actor in a movie like this is not always the easiest thing in the world, but I think she pulls it off great. Especially because she's British and does a pretty flawless American accent. That's impressive. I also think that the practical effects in this movie look really good. Like, if you're a fan of body horror, you're probably going to appreciate this movie quite a bit, because unlike some other werewolf movies, Wolfman doesn't really have one big transformation scene. Instead, the transformation happens slowly throughout a good portion of the film, giving it a similar feel to movies like David Cronenberg's The Fly. And rest assured, the effects are nasty and very bloody at times, so if you're a person who loves gore, then you got some stuff to look forward to. Something else I appreciated as a horror fan is that this film could actually be really nerve-wracking at times. Like, I remember when I went to go see this movie in theaters, my heart was literally pounding out of my chest for a good portion of the movie. And when a movie can get that strong of a reaction out of me, it's done something right. There was also a part towards the end of this movie where I was thinking, that has got to be a reference to Saw. Maybe I'm wrong and it really was just coincidental, but if you're a fan of Saw and you've seen this movie, then let me know what you think in the comments, because chances are good you know which scene I'm talking about. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff I enjoyed about this movie, but there were also a couple things that I was just a little bit mixed on. The biggest one being the relationship between our two main characters. It's obvious from the beginning that Blake and his wife Charlotte don't have a bad marriage or anything, but they definitely have some problems. But the movie never really explains any of this, it's just kind of there. We get to see a lot of stuff between Blake and his daughter Ginger, which is great, but we really don't see too much between Blake and Charlotte. And since they don't really give us too much about their relationship earlier in the film before all the crazy stuff starts happening, it makes it a little bit harder to care when later on in the movie Charlotte is trying to talk to Blake about how much she loves him and how much they need him. The movie also has some slight pacing issues. I mean, most of this movie takes place in just one cabin, which I guess is fine, but there were a couple parts that I think could have been shortened just a little bit. But in addition to that, I also think that there's a few scenes that could have gone on longer and just felt too short. Another thing is that, for the most part, this film is fairly predictable, which for me isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is worth mentioning that pretty much everything that happens in this film, we've seen in other films before. There's a twist towards the end of this movie that, even though I didn't exactly guess it before it happened, I really wasn't that shocked by it either. I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. To be fair though, I don't think that this film was really trying to be anything super unique and groundbreaking. I think that Leigh Whannell just wanted to give us his take on the classic Wolfman story, and that's exactly what he did. So overall, I enjoyed this movie, I had fun with it. It might not be perfect, but I'd say it's definitely worth checking out if you're into these types of movies. I'm gonna give Wolfman a 7.5 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing, it really helps me out. And I'll see you guys in the next video.